More for On the Summit. Let's bring in Samantha Vinograd, a CBS News national security contributor and former assistant secretary for counterterrorism at DHS. Good morning, Sam. Okay, lots of pomp, lots of pleasantries. But that stern warning from Xi, Premier Xi, was ominous. We've seen there's basically been a Cold War over Taiwan for decades. What are the chances that this could turn into a hot war, an actual conflict?
Reunification with Taiwan is an existential issue for the Chinese Communist Party. Now, the U.S. intelligence community has assessed that the Chinese government isn't planning an invasion of Taiwan in 2027, but they're setting the conditions for reunification. And they want both actions and change in words from the United States. Action-wise, they want the United States to stop giving arms to Taiwan under statute known as the Taiwan Relations Act of 1979. They certainly want the United States to move military assets out of the region that could be used to defend Taiwan in the case of an invasion. And they want the U.S. to really step back from its unofficial ties with officials in Taiwan. But rhetoric is also really important here. The U.S. has historically focused on maintaining the status quo, the one China policy. And Xi will continue to press President Trump to signal with his words and not just his actions that the U.S. is open to reunification at some stage.
Yeah, words are so important, especially to the Chinese. Now, the comparison's been made by the former Deputy Secretary of State here in the U.S. that this meeting is compared to the 1972 meeting between Mao and Nixon in terms of how much personal authority these two men have. What does each person here, President Xi and President Trump, what do they each want out of this?
Well, while President Trump and President Xi have a huge amount of personal authority, I do think we have to note that China in 1972 is very different than China in 2026. The level of interdependence between our countries is exponentially higher than it was when Nixon went to China. At the same time, China's posture towards the United States, its active cyber campaigns against the U.S. government, against private citizens, is totally different than when Nixon went to China. So historically speaking, certainly these two leaders want to see less economic tension, more trade relations, a lifting in export controls, help on foreign policy issues like Iran. President Xi, as we discussed, wants Trump to change posture on Taiwan. But certainly the relationship between these two countries is more complex than ever, where, frankly, we really need experts from the intelligence community and experts working with China to advise the president on strategy as well as substance.
And we will stay tuned to see if progress is made. Sam Vinograd, thank you.